welcome Stellar Mystique.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is amazing. I wanted to talk a little bit about being able to creating amazing pieces of art, which is what we do. I feel like I'm far away from you guys.
Far away.
Well, squeeze on
Squeeze,
in.
guys, squeeze. This is supposed to be my living room.
What are you guys doing here?
This is definitely the coffee
brighter.
table of an entertainer.
I didn't have space to have a coffee table and my trunk.
Sure, yeah.
So it became the trunk and the coffee table. There, it's very homey. So I wanted to especially talk about creating amazing things, and as I opened the show, it was about this thing of uncertainty and wondering what's going to happen. And what's so cool about what we do and what everyone does, no matter if you're an entertainer or not, is facing these uncertainties and taking risks. So we'll start, Kayla, probably, since you just were up here. And we just saw you on TV on Penn and Teller's show, which was super awesome. And for those of you guys who didn't see it, their kind of response was just they thought it was so great how you took something that magicians often use, these abstract, magic-y looking things, and do a trick, and you're like, whoa, and then they try to make it fit into real life. And what you did is take something that felt a little bit more emotional, like a real thing, like you're having an interaction with somebody, and it actually, you could see by audiences that respond to it, it's actually an amazing response. So do you have anything to talk about that, about just creating a piece of work that connects with an audience and isn't just a typical cheesy piece of magic that anyone could go online and buy? Maybe a little bit of your thought process of how you
I was I think we answered your own question.
How do you create, with your thought process of you see an idea maybe and kind of quickly go through how that becomes a piece of performance, and then how do you test that to see if it's going to work as it did in your mind, since we're on so much uncertainty. There's 4 questions in there, but take any of them that you want.
Okay.
And if anyone else gets an idea from that, feel free to jump in as well.
So a bit maybe to answer the question sort of is maybe to talk about sort of the background of the heart piece is I was listening to, at the time, Pandora. And I don't know if anyone still uses that. Go Spotify. And Spotify doesn't pay me, guys. I just have an Amazon Alexa, and that girl, what am I talking about? I'm answering your question.
You can talk about something else if you want.
I'll plug Amazon products. Anyway.
Are they listening? Alexa, are you listening?
Oh my gosh, I swear to you, she's alive. Anyway,
Alexa!
Don't upset her.
Pay us for the advertisement we just gave you.
Yes. That'd be awesome. Anyway, I was listening to the piano. Do you guys know the piano guys? It's just two guys, one at a piano, one plays the cello, and they're brilliant. And I listened to that exact song. Don't tell them because I don't have the rights to use it yet. And I was listening to the song, and just in sort of listening to it, all of a sudden had this vision in my mind about this piece. And at the time I had been working on some sort of routine about a relationship that failed for some reason. And I was doing a really terrible job at doing that because I just couldn't find the right piece of magic. As you can probably imagine, if you've ever gone to a magic shop or seen magic before, there isn't really a cookie cutter version of this. There isn't there isn't a trick out there that's this would be great to talk about love. That's not in the trailer for the trick on Penguin Magic. And thank you to the 2 magicians. Thank you. For me, it was, I heard the song and then automatically pictured the routine in my head. And this will never happen again, but I just took 2 pieces of paper and created this routine. And then obviously it's had many evolutions over the last 2 years and to what you saw today. But for me, it was just about, I had a memory in my mind of a relationship that didn't work out. And I wanted to share that experience with other people because I realized when I would talk about it, other people would be like, oh, yes, I know. Let me tell you about my relationship. And so it sort of opened this door of a really fun interaction of empathy and a relationship, and I was able to bond with audiences really well over that. So I wanted to put this into a piece of magic And finally this came about. And as you said, magic doesn't often have that ability. It's often like, check out this box with this weird figure on the front that I'm telling you is Chinese, and it's really strange. And so I love that. I love using the organic objects in a real story and putting the story to everything.
Great.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. The box is very normal because I've said how normal it is
Yes. 8
times in a row.
This is an ordinary triangle. No, I don't know. Yeah.
Great. Pam, you kind of linking into that, I think your piece that you did tonight was, again, great because it takes kind of a traditional thing and then takes it into the modern world, which everyone here has had that experience of talking to somebody and then, looking down, and, that's a universal experience, unfortunately, for everyone. Do you want to comment at all on kind of the same thing, like how that came from, maybe that happened to you in real life and then inspired to create an act out of it?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of video a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and I was kind of cornered and by some puppeteers and told to make a live piece, which I hadn't thought that I wanted
Those
to do.
puppeteers, you don't expect it from them, but...
That's going to be called a puppet slam, you guys. It's real. And I was showing videos at puppet slams and just doing video stuff, and these 2 puppeteers were like, you gotta do something live because this is a slam.
So like a poetry slam with puppets?
With puppets,
Okay.
yeah. Ideally it's comedy, often it's not. There's not much puppet comedy in the world, unfortunately, which is tragic. So I was cornered and told to make a live piece, and I had just worked on a puppet project with a friend of mine, and she had this beautiful scene to old-timey music that was 2 puppets, which are a Japanese style of puppet where you operate, 2 people have to operate 1 puppet, and it was like this love-making scene. It was very dramatic, and to me, the funniest thing would be like, what if this guy keeps getting text messages and he has to like go check his phone, like amidst making love to this woman, taking her clothes off. And I thought, okay, I gotta create something that's simple enough that I can do this by myself.
Yeah.
And I can't do it by myself with these 2 figures, this very traditional style of puppetry. And I happen to have this creepy rabbit puppet. So a lot of experimentation and finding the beats and finding the right music, and it took a lot of like trial and error to find like where it was, and it still is evolving, just to like keep it interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get bored on stage. People can see that when you're like, done this a million times. So I keep changing it. Like there was supposed to be a bouquet of flowers tonight, but I dropped it. There were some technical issues. That's a new thing that didn't used to be in the act. So like it's fun to like see pieces continue to evolve. So
That's great to kind of punch into that, because I think people in the audience think that we like figured something out at some point in the past, and then that's what we do. And it's so interesting, I think, for them to hear that as people in the audience on that side, you guys, that we don't have it figured. It looks like, oh, this was a thing, and that's, again, at the top of it, I said we face uncertainty every night. Not only uncertainty of, if audiences are going to show up and if they're going to like what we do, but also like uncertainty in our own mind of like, I'm gonna try this new thing. They think I figured this out already, but I'm gonna try to see if I can do this. And then like 90% of the time it doesn't work.
yeah.
And then, but it's
doing it.
okay, then you do it and then you figure that out. Oh, it's like, for me, it's like even the subtlest thing, like the little, like a catch or something, and Matt, you would know this too, like some little like move or something like, oh, this doesn't work, but if I put my foot behind my head and do it, then they think it's funny.
Yeah, that was the trick, is you gotta put your foot behind your head. It all clicks in.
So Matt, I want to talk to you a little bit about creating a character.
Yeah.
And thanks to Seth in the back for doing the opening attention grabber.
Yeah.
I ran over to him and I was like, we have 45 seconds left before the show starts. Can you go open the show? And so Seth in the back, he'll be on a show coming up soon at some point.
Yes. Yeah, buddy.
The two of you guys, let's do it now. The two of you guys are great because you create a really intense, at times, character.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to let you talk a little bit about that, and same thing of like creating an act out of, you know, it all goes back to we're inspired by things that happen in our everyday life. You know, a piece of music that we hear, or you know, an experience that we have
Right.
from the theater or in real life. Where do you get inspired to create like the characters that you do on stage? And even then, so you can go into this too, as well, like with animations as well. Matt does animations as well, so that's character creation as well. So you can merge those two and just where's the inspiration and motivation, and like where does that come from to like create something that's you but more?
But more. That's exactly right. It's like the combination, because I do animation during the days. I sit in my room all day and animate, and then I'll do shows at night a lot of the time, and I try to mix the two. And what he's talking about is I'll do a character with Seth up there where we're like super high energy. It's kind of similar to what I did tonight, but it's like 10 times more, And I'll often do animation with that character too, and I'll juggle with him and stuff like that. And that kind of comes from, because as you all know, life is really boring a lot of the time. And it's really fun to just be really loud and like act like a kid. Because I'll perform for kids a lot too, and they're so much fun to perform for. I get like so many ideas from just interacting with them. So just like playing a kid on stage and like animating, I get ideas from animating like movements, and like they kind of feed into each other, the juggling, like the movements, the animation, the energy of it all. Kind of all goes together, which I think it makes it really fun and a new thing. And yeah, just being high energy is never not fun. So that's why I like doing it.
That's good real life advice.
It is. Be really loud.
Be playful, and again, that's like
Playful,
something
yeah,
like playful as a kid. That's another thing if we want to relate things back to real life. And we create these like fantasy worlds that we can live in, and it's all about kind of like thinking about what you do as a kid. You like figure out a fun thing to do that makes people smile.
Yeah.
And a lot of times during our everyday life, that there's not that many times throughout the day that we get that opportunity. So
you just gotta do it.
For us and people who don't do it on stages, that's great advice. Just think like a kid.
Yeah, well, you almost kind of gotta, I'm sure a lot of people here have thought about this, but you kind of gotta remember what made you happy when you were a kid, and then just do that exact same thing, because that's what you enjoy, is what you like when you were a kid.
It was like the stupidest, the simplest things
so
as well. It
channeling
wasn't
to
like
that
a
is
big
like-
fancy car,
Exactly.
that now what we're thinking about. It was like
It's
hanging
jumping
out
around.
with people in your living room and smiling about people who do crazy things.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys. Buddy, finally, my kind of...
Laurel and Hardy made me happiest as a kid.
Yeah?
You just now made me think of it.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I'll
thanks.
visit them.
And I was just trying to figure out how I'm supposed to put them in my poetry. That's my job.
What I wanted to talk to you about was, and I kind of purposefully didn't tell them what you did, because I wanted them to discover.
That was scary for me.
Yeah.
You didn't say.
I didn't tell them anything. I was just like,
but I was like, oh no, they don't know, so
yeah. Well, that's what
they're
I
gonna think I'm a
wanted.
struggling comedian.
Comics off to a slow start tonight.
It was really scary.
And I kind of did that to put you in a little bit of let you kind of battle through that and let them discover this thing that you were going to do, and then see what you could do, because I know that you're a pro and that you would draw them in, and then there's moments in all of your pieces that you just feel the room, like there's that moment where they connect and they're like, ooh. And you get emotional, and then it forces people to respond to that with emotions. And I wanted to focus on your question on capturing such strong emotions. where some of us put our foot behind our head, and that's what makes us and people smile. And then some of us use like words and just pure emotion to connect with the audience. So the question is, you can respond in any of that, what you want. My kind of idea of a question is, how do you capture that, like emotions of every day, and kind of similarly, and then package it in something that can be delivered to an audience?
It's not a capture as it is an open, it's a channel, and it's just whenever I go to, whenever I'm not being lazy. Like there's no such thing as writer's block, that's just laziness. I just have to show up, and that's all any writer has to do is show up. Writer's block is the silly belief that you have to be brilliant every time you sit down to write, and you don't. You just have to sit down and write, and within that writing experience, like, you know, there's going to be a gem. If I write for 10 minutes, 2 pages, there's going to be a gem in there, and I'll pull it out and put it on a document on my desktop called the Big Idea List, and, you know, after 30 days, and there's 30 fucking gems. And through the power of association and being a rad human who can, like everybody else who can do that and associate things, that makes a poem. That's not how I do it every time, but so there's just showing up for it. There's just showing up for it and channeling whatever's really on my mind. And I've lost everything else about the question, but I think it boils down to, and I started doing it when I was a kid, so I started also getting cliche words out of my system really early that I could recognize in other poets. Like, I won't write the word soul in a poem or reality. Like if it's a sexual poem, I'm not going to talk about thighs, because just having seen poetry for 20 years now, regularly, it's just these common go-to, like tick tock, the clock is ticking. You know, it's stop fucking with the moon, stop fucking with your soul. Like let's go farther, and that's so so. There's the channeling, and then there's the sometimes months afterwards. Like it took me 3 months to write a 4-minute piece one time, just because this is what separates me, I think, from other poets who do this for a living, is that I'm obsessed with the editing process and flipping cliches and making sure that the rhythm flows from beginning to end. And there's at no point when I'm reading it does it in my gut is there like a. By the time I'm done, there's nothing in my gut that goes, oh, I don't know about that part. I know about every part when I'm done, and it's just like laughter for me. I hope the crowd loves it, but when I'm done, I know it's perfect the way I want it. Just in the same way I know that. And then when I'm buckled in laughter, at no point in any of our lives have we stopped laughing and stood up and done a survey and like, wait, is this funny? It's just, you're fucking laughing. Of course it's funny. And for me, when I'm done with a poem, I don't have to do a survey. So I hope that answered more than just the question and a half.
Yeah. Was there a question?
No. It's a little bit about me. That's something unique about me.
Now take your survey after under your seat.
There's a little pencil. I like that of how you kind of capture that of just trying, and why I selected each of you guys to be here tonight is that, you know, we kind of touched on it as well, that we're not doing the tick tock, the clock is tick, you know, right. It's like everyone here has created something that is very much you, and that's kind of amazing to do. So people at home, when you're thinking about making something or whatever you're gonna do, if it looks like somebody else has done this, try to at least do your spin of it. You can do a magic trick, and you can do juggling, and you can do spoken word, you can do a puppet show, but like use the advice of these amazing people and like figure out a way to make it you, because you rock. You guys rock.
Takes one to know one.
These guys rock. Yeah, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. That's what's yeah.
Like, that's a beautiful
That
note
was, should
to
we
end.
just end? Oh, thanks, guys. Well, rock and roll. Now we need to do that again at the end. Real end?
Oh boy.
Oh man, practice this. I want to go back to, this won't be an open one if anyone wants to jump in. I want to go back to the feeling of uncertainty and things happen on stage that we're not ready for, or that we aren't prepared for, or like the person who introduces you just doesn't say anything. It's like, there he is.
Yeah.
Do you guys
What's
have?
worse
like-
is
Yeah.
in 17 years of doing it for a living now, this is the only other time I've been here was one of the top 5 worst I've ever felt. And
Wait,
so when
that-
you didn't say it, I was like, oh, you motherfucker.
All right.
I love it.
We should have ended before.
I love it. I love it when stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Everything got really weird.
Yeah.
Like we
This
just
is great. I love this moment.
Like we just did what I was talking about.
Why not?
We captured.
Experientially answered the question.
You did it like you did it perfect. And we're like, well, what happens when everything just collapses in on itself?
I think it's
You're welcome
really,
for the example.
Yeah, that's great. Just watch me squirm.
it's good for you. Like you grow from it. Like
Yeah.
everyone has to bomb on stage at some point, and you realize like, well, this isn't everything, you know, and your life continues, and then you have another show that's wonderful, and it makes up for bombing, but you just like learn to go with the flow. And like I was supposed to have a bouquet of flowers in my show tonight, and it fell off my lap, and I wasn't gonna. It would have like made the show worse. And you just like you just go with it, and it helps you become a better performer and improvise.
I have
Yes.
a fun story to share of like a specific moment where I in that moment, and you're like, you know what, I'm quitting.
Right in the middle of the show.
I didn't bring a case, but I was doing this routine for a corporate event. That's where I perform mostly. Did someone just gasp audibly? And
Not in Silver Lake, you don't talk about that.
so, you know what? Just never mind. I quit. I was doing this for a corporate event, and I have a full hour, 15-minute show, and I was performing at this event. And it was one of those events where already everything was kind of on the downhill. Really wonderful people who had booked me and that I was hanging out with for the day, but like it was outdoors, it wasn't supposed to be, my stuff got rained on, whatever. So it comes time to do this routine. I say, hey, who better to call up than the CEO of the company? He's a fun guy, and we'll put him in a fun moment where it's like humanizing and adorable. And so we're tearing our, you were perfect. And we're tearing the paper. And tearing it, and then we get to the point where it's like, oh, we're really angry, and he's like, yeah, what better way to show my anger and my acting skills than to he just shoved up all the paper and shoved it in his mouth, and I was like, what? I don't think he knows what's gonna happen here. And so I said something real sassy, like, you're the CEO of this company, like microphone full volume, and he then like pulled each piece of paper out of his mouth. And it was all slobbery. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I will just keep going. And they restore. And you know what? Let's just wrap up this show. And so I think I did one more trick and just ended. And that was one of those moments that I was like, I never want to perform again.
Yeah.
But then, as you said, you sort of learn from it. And that's one of those experiences. You're like, let's not bring up the attention-seeking, slightly drunk CEO of the company, and you're really like, okay, cool. That's not, you learn so much from those experiences.
Yeah.
And then you have a fun story.
Yeah, and I think there's people who are like, most people are like, I could never get up on stage in front of people, and it's like, for me, the same thing, like before, as I talk about, like before every show, on the other side of that curtain, you're like, I don't want to go out there. It would be way easier to just be like, no, the show's canceled or something. It's like that happens every time, and then it's like you get out here and everything works, and if it doesn't, no one cares except you, and you get over it, and then people are like, that was great. So I think everyone should like do an open mic or something at some point, just to realize that like it's not scary. Like it's really scary beforehand, and then as soon as you're off, you're like, oh, that's fine.
Is there anyone here, and I can only kind of see it maybe the first couple, is there anyone here that's not an entertainer, like has never been on stage really before? Be honest, like totally honest.
Should probably like half
No
of these
one!
people there.
Oh, yay! Oh, wait, thank you for coming. Do I know you? Oh my god, hi! Oh, sorry. I know someone here. Hi. I always always recommend to take an improv class.
Yeah.
Because improv is the most scary thing, in my opinion, that you can do, because you have no script, no plan, nothing. And you have to then trust your scene partner or partners 100%, and then you have to also be trustworthy. And I've met a lot of people who are not entertainers who do improv, and like from start to finish, them as a human being is so much more amazing, because they realize like, oh, the world is about supporting each other and about sharing an experience. And I think that's my number one thing. Like if you know, open mic and all of that, improv I think is the best possible thing you can do, especially if you're a shy human being or like work at a desk all day. Number one thing.
Yeah, great. So we are going to kind of tie up loose ends. You two down there, I felt like you had a couple little leaning in. Do you have anything to add to that? Like a little 1 minute tie into that kind of thing of like embracing that fear and jumping into things?
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, like when stuff goes wrong, I really enjoy it, because I mean, at first you don't, but then if everyone here's a performer, you know too, it's a muscle to grow to deal with it in the moment, and then take that muscle out into the real world, and it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it turns out in the real world things don't work out how we planned either.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Buddy, anything for you on that side of stuff to add?
No, I'm good. Thank
All
you.
right.
I'm scared now.
I'm now going to like force you into even more uncomfortable situations. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that I can make you do, like do another piece or something.
For me, it's just because there's nothing when I get up and do poetry. There's nothing. It's an absolutely vulnerable experience for me.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about what it is I have to offer, and when I recognize that the energy in the room doesn't get it or is willing to receive it, it can feel really humiliating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only thing I think I really contend with, because it's true of heart. It's best foot forward. It's big me, big you. But when the crowd's not willing to receive it, it feels pretty wonky, big time. Especially, it's poetry. I'm excited to break. I get excited to do stuff that's not boring, and so when it's not, I just want it to be successful.
Yeah.
And I just don't like dealing with the sort of humiliating. I would say it's humbling, but I suspect humble people don't use that word.
So I got nothing. Well, I want to give you, as you kind of talk about that, the kind of you're exposing yourself, and I wanted to give you especially a big amount of credit, because I'll speak for myself that I can hide behind yelling and being over the top and running around and using juggling clubs, and a lot of variety performers, or singers or musicians, a lot of people have this thing that they can kind of stand behind and shield their soul, for lack of better words, their heart, their feelings. And what you do is literally you stand up there and say, here it is. And
hope
like
they love it. I hope they get
them
something from it. Because I'm also aware it's a choice too. I put myself in that position, so I don't feel entitled to a response. I'm just hoping for the just shooting for the best.
Yeah, but you could see, like I said, every time you get up there, you can see the audience connect with what you're doing, and in a way that's even more. There's
a real intention behind it to speak to the bright side of the gritty underbelly. I think I really love the idea of pulling the next one up, and I don't have any grandiose notions of no white savior complex or anything. I just love to slip in anything that's going to just push a finger forward in the right direction toward the light, without being, like fucking Deepak Chopra or blinding people with too much light talk. I just like to talk to the grit, like go from the grit into the light, like the process of it through the poems, and hope that people catch on.
Great, and you're doing it. That was amazing. What I'm most excited about lately is, I've been traveling around doing variety shows for the past 10 years, touring the country and the world, and been every corner of every boring town in the country and in every amazing city. And that has been absolutely incredible, performing for audiences, but one of the best parts of what I do is getting to meet performers and getting to meet audience members. And as I meet all these people, I know everyone has those walls right in front of them that they have this idea that they're thinking about. They want to start a podcast, they want to do a live show, they want to be a magician, they want to do this, they want to start a YouTube channel, they want to do something, and there's some dumb excuse that they're coming up with that they don't have a good enough camera, or they don't have a microphone, or they don't have enough money to buy the fancy magic trick, or whatever it is. There's everyone at some level is standing behind that wall. My whole kind of thesis, if you will, to use a bad word that you probably hate, has been on this just go theory. Like, if you're thinking about doing something, try it, jump in. And that's what this show tonight has been. I was like, I don't think I'm ready to do this. I don't really know. I've never had to like manage a lot of other people and like figure out how to make this happen. But I was like, well, I can probably learn, and at least learn like what not to do and figure out. And it's all about that jumping in, just go. For those of you guys who read my book of the title. But I want to we'll go right down the line. And I hope this does challenge each of you. In about a minute or so, what would your thesis that you would like the world to know? Because a lot of times as performers, we don't get to tell something more than our piece. So what's your advice for somebody? So say I figured you might do that face when I said that. So somebody that sees you doing a cool piece on stage, and say a young person or an old person says, I always wanted to do that. How did you get started? Like, how can I get started in that? What would you tell them?
Oh.
You can mirror my just go thing as well. We'll just push books.
Yeah. Set a date, make a commitment to someone else, and that will hold you accountable. Like, the only reason that I have this act is because I booked a show. I didn't have anything, so I had to make something, and like that's
Great.
like you have someone else counting on you to do a thing, and you'll do it.
Well, I'll jump into that as well. We booked this show about a month and a half ago, and I booked the acts within the past one to 3 days for some of you. So there was a deadline. So like, if you don't have a deadline, create a deadline. I think I actually asked Matt last night if he could be here. That's great.
Yeah.
Next on the line, Kayla.
I'm a great procrastinator, so I really second the set a goal. I found that most of my life, even just doing the dishes, is great with a goal. So if I'm like, all right, friends are coming over and my sink's gross, gotta do it because my friends are here at 7. So it really
same thing. It's like creating that deadline.
Yeah, I'm really big in goals, but specifically, the goal has to be something that's measurable. So instead of just saying, I'm gonna do a show, you want it to be a very measurable thing. Or like, I'm gonna work out, right? That's like the number one goal that's not met, is that I'm gonna work out more. Because it's not measurable. There's not a way of saying you succeeded. And as opposed to saying, I'm gonna work out 3 days a week for 30 minutes at a time. That's a measurable goal. Or I'm going to, something like that. So everything is just sort of piggybacking off of what you said, is like, set that deadline and then make it a measurable piece of success, and then reward yourself. I love ice cream. So it's like, oh, I did my dishes, ice cream, So that's
More dirty dishes.
Yeah, and then we put more in, and I'm like, oh, more, I'll do those, and ice cream. See, it makes sense, guys, full circle. That's it.
Matt, so I know you, especially maybe this might be more relevant on the animation thing of like getting things done, and something that takes just an immense amount of work, and like that opening thing to the Matt Kiel show that was at Seth's backyard, that was like 14 minutes of animation that you created. What's someone that wants to create something? What's your advice to them?
I mean, a lot goes into it. It's like you're saying, you got to choose to do it, but you choose to do it every day, just like everything. And I don't know. I just done it for so long. You kind of, I guess it's kind of like a habit after a while. You kind of do it so much that you kind of, it just becomes your life. So I just animate all day. It's kind of, and like don't worry about the props, or like I've been using those same tablets you're drawing for like 10 years, you know?
Right, that goes back to the same thing. I hear all the time people are like, ask me like for my podcast, what microphone do you use? I'm like, if that's your question, I might as well not even answer it because that doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, buddy, somebody who wants to get started on something that has a block.
Just follow your highest excitement with zero expectations of the outcome. Absolutely have to follow your highest excitement at all times with zero expectations of the outcome. It goes for anything we do.
Yeah, and that we'll tie that all up together, and I'm glad you ended with that of the zero expectations, because you can have high, you can kind of like hope for, obviously be positive, not like expecting the worst to happen, but like I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do my best, and we're gonna hope it all works out, and then everything works out. Does anyone have any last one piece of ultimate wisdom to present to the crowd?
Boy.
Thank you very much.
That's a no. All right, thank you guys so much. That's gonna tie